Welcome to Stitchery Stories, where textile artists share their life in fabric and thread, inspiration, techniques, disasters and delights. And I'm Susan Reeks, enthusiastic embroiderer and textile art dabbler who also loves podcasting. So take a break and enjoy our light-hearted chat, and please share with your friends so they can enjoy it too. Hello and welcome to our lovely guests today. I have Bridget Carpenter and Annie Taylor. Hi.
Hello.
Right, it's lovely to have two of you here today, and we'll just go in the story in a minute of how we got together. But I have here a bit of a bio. We are the Profanity Embroidery Group from Whitstable in Kent, a group of 25 creatives who share a love of textiles and profanity. PEG was established by accident in 2014, and the group meets every other week in the Duke of Cumberland pub. Initially, the group was made up of a mix of inexperienced stitchers but enthusiastic swearers and talented embroiderers with limited use of profanity. After 3 years together, we have all come along marvellously. We are rather prolific in our art creation, and we hold an annual exhibition in the Fish Lab Gallery in Whitstable. Now, there is a whole list of different exhibitions and pieces that the ladies have created, so we'll talk about those later on. But kind of moving towards the end, then we have a little note here. Please note that our work contains offensive language, and whilst our sewing skills are sure to delight, our choice of words may not. So there we are. That's going to be our challenge today, to have a chat on a non-swearing podcast about embroidery that features swearing and lots of other interesting things as well. So welcome once again, Bridget and Annie. The first thing I would really like to talk about was, thank you so much, Bridget, for I think I got an email and a message in Instagram as well on the same evening saying that you'd found the podcast and that you wanted to speak to about your project, and it was all very, very interesting. So for me, Instagram has been a really good way of finding people and sharing our podcasts, and I know you've been sharing your various projects on there as well, haven't you?
Yes, we have.
Well, it was really great to get those emails, and I absolutely love it when I get emails saying, "Oh, I've just found your podcast, and I've got these stories, or will you feature so and so?" So it was really great. Now, before we actually get started in more detail with your stitchery story, would you like to share with us the story behind the Profanity Embroidery Group and the projects that you've been working on, and what's got you excited at the moment?
Hi, Susan. The project we're working on at the moment is, as a group, we're heading into our annual exhibition in February. Mm-hmm. And this time we've taken as a theme song lyrics.
Right.
So everyone within the group is working on an individual piece, which will be part of the exhibition. And this time a lot more people will be making pieces that are 3D, so not just wall-hung pieces.
Yeah, brilliant.
And some of them are song lyrics that contain profanities, and some are misheard lyrics.
and those are always absolutely hilarious, aren't they? I bet that'll work out really well then.
It will, and it's again, it's the sort of individuals in the group, the imagination and their memories. It all comes together once we start sewing and talking about them. The ideas for the individual exhibitions all come from the group. We ask everybody what their ideas are, and this time Bridget typed it all up into a lovely long list, and we handed them out to the individual members, and they all voted on what they thought of the various ideas.
Yes. And
this was also where the idea for the Secrets project was initially mentioned.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the most popular. The most popular was the song lyrics, so we went with that.
Right.
But the Secrets idea really resonated with Bridget, and she came up with another way of doing that.
Right. So it's like Stitch Secrets, isn't it? So we'll come on to that. I just wanted to backtrack a bit, and if you kind of wanted to share about how the Profanity Embroidery Group came to being. It's a very interesting idea, and I'm sure there's an interesting story lurking about behind even how you all got together as a group.
What happened was, years ago I sent my mum a cartoon, and it was one of this lovely old lady sitting there doing this beautiful embroidery of hearts and flowers and birds. Mm-hmm. And it said Mrs. Winchester had found a positive outlet for her negative energy, and on the cushions that she was embroidering, in amongst the hearts and flowers, were profanities like the world.
Like F off and things like that.
Exactly. And it fell out of one of my mum's embroidery books, and she got my dad to scan it and email it back to me. When it arrived, it made me laugh so much, I put it straight on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
The response from my friends was unbelievable. And by the end of the evening, Wendy Robertson, a good friend, had said, right, we've got to do this. We've got a group here. So we decided that the following week we would meet up in one of the local hostelries and see what happened. And what happened was the door just kept opening, and various women that we'd never met were sidling through the door, whispering, is this the Profanity Embroidery Group? Are coming and joining in. And it was friends of mine had told friends of theirs who liked sewing and stitching. And they just turned up when we started this group. We didn't have a clue. We had no idea what we were doing, what we were going to do. And that first one, we just drank quite a lot and made long lists of rude words, really.
Sounds like an excellent evening out, actually. Brilliant. Well, I think that's got to be one of the most unique ways of forming a group that I've possibly ever heard. Certainly ever heard from a long time. So that's really fantastic. And that little cartoon, that's on your Facebook page?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, no, that made me laugh, did that. And somebody had sent me something similar a while back, and it was to do with, I finally understand, Sue, why you like embroidery, because in a nutshell, it gives you the opportunity to stab something with a sharp needle thousands of times. Yeah, well done. It is quite a good thing to do when you're in a bad mood, isn't it? Stabbing their head as you've got it visualised on that piece of fabric.
Yes, almost a little bit of voodoo.
Yes. Brilliant. So that's how the Profanity Embroidery Group got going. So that's really great. And your ideas behind the different things that you've made. So was the Profane quilt the first thing that you produced together as a group?
That's right, yes. So that led on from us coming up with this list of words.
Yeah.
Wendy and I just sort of threw out that, all right, we'd work to a kind of roughly 10-inch square piece of fabric, if anyone's choosing, and it had to have an image and that profanity embroidered on it. Unfortunately, we started like this. Unfortunately, after a few months, when we'd got these amazing pieces of work of all shapes and sizes, none of them 10 inches square by 8. Fortunately, by then, Bridget and Alison Fitzgerald-Lucas had both joined, who knew what we were doing and were able to kind of corral us into making what became the most incredibly beautiful and funny quilt out of... Without them joining, none of the rest of us had any quilting experience. I can't really sew a straight line. I'm much more about curves. Without them, I'd dread to think what it would have been like. But it was wonderful how people joined. And we just kept going. We'd been finishing one and then starting another. And the humour was growing and we were bonding very much as a group. And it was lovely. We'd be sitting in the corner of the pub where we meet every other Wednesday sewing, and you'd see people come in and go, oh, isn't that lovely, a group of ladies embroidering, and they'd come over to see what we were doing.
And every week it was a thrill when people arrived with their bags of bits and they'd pull out a piece and it would have the most amazing illustration of a very naughty word, and it was hugely enjoyable.
Oh, it's actually the best laugh ever, isn't it? But yeah, I can just imagine the look of people's faces. Oh, look, all those ladies, aren't they? Aren't they all being good? So in their embroidery over in that corner, and then if they actually went and had to look, they'd have a heart attack, wouldn't they? Fantastic.
And that did happen.
Yeah. Not quite the heart attack.
I also noticed that out of this list of things that you've been creating, so then we had saucy stitched seaside postcards, but they were quite amusing as well. I've seen a couple of those pictures. They're funny anyway, aren't they, those kind of postcards? But obviously not many.
They are. But yeah. That was the challenge because I thought it would be a good idea. Whitstable has the Whitstable Biennale every 2 years, which is quite a serious art event.
Yeah.
So we thought it would be quite nice to take part in that and not be serious at all.
Disrupt it, yes.
And we have the most wonderful fabric shop, which supports us beautifully. And the owner said we could have the window to display our work in for the Biennale, which meant that it couldn't actually be that in your face and profane as we normally are.
Yeah.
So putting a slight twist on the saucy seaside postcard, it was all innuendo and double entendre. And again, a real delight to see what people came up with.
And I mean, we could be here all day talking about the other things. You've got the fabric of society. I really like that idea as well. From A to Z, anti-wrinkle cream onwards. I've got another quilt. The F quilt is about as best as I can do on our podcast today. What else have we had? The Older Women Rock programme. Now, I saw some of those photos. They were fab as well, with poems on vintage clothing.
That was an absolutely brilliant thing that we got involved in. We were invited to take part in that by Leah Thorne, who's a poet, and it's her project. And initially she just wanted someone to do a nice little piece of embroidery for her, very specific. Bridget, do you want to say about that?
Yeah, she was making a handbag which she was putting items into which had words from her poem. It was the idea that you could encapsulate her poem into a 3D physical object.
Right.
She was going to use this to show a grants giving committee so that she could explain what her project was about. And so she came and she asked me if I would stitch onto a handkerchief just 3 lines of one of her poems. And she was very specific. She wanted it done in her handwriting, and she wanted it done in black, and she was very prescriptive. So I tried my best to stick to her, but I did add a bit of colour. I couldn't help myself. But what that led on to was us getting together with Leah at my house, and she bought this great big suitcase full of vintage clothes and some of her poetry. And we all got very excited looking through her vintage clothes and trying bits on and then looking at her poems. And as if by some kind of alchemy, each person who was there selected a garment and then a poem that suited them. But the whole group of us took her poems and turned them into stitched items of clothes, which were then modelled by older women in a catwalk show.
Right, brilliant.
And that was amazing, because the women who modelled, some of them had never shown their bodies in public before, and they were modelling swimsuits and corsets and all sorts of things which they never dared to do. But
wow.
Leah's project had encouraged them to come out of themselves and work together and do this amazing thing. And it's now travelled around the country and been on show, and Leah's getting more grants, and we hope to continue working with her.
Oh, that's fantastic. And what a great thing that, like, yet again, the seemingly mundane hobby of embroidery and textile art can have such a profound effect on people that, as you say, people will then say, well, yeah, I'm going to embroider this corset and I'm going to wear it. My guest this week, Jan Dowson, she said while she was tutoring that she used to get her students to deal with challenging subjects, and talked about trafficking and genital mutilation and all sorts of things as part of developing those skills and art. And it's amazing what subjects you can actually cover. It doesn't have to be flowers all the time, does it?
Well, not as far as we're concerned.
Fab. Right, so moving forward then, so we've got some really interesting projects that you've been through. And so do you want to share with us now how you're getting on with where the idea of the Stitch Secrets came from, kind of evolved out of that? That would be interesting to share with us.
Now, this was a secret which Jacqueline Hall, one of our group, came up with. And she had a vision of people writing their secrets down and their secrets being turned into a quilt. Mm-hmm. Well, that idea didn't get taken up by the group, so I thought, could we do this in another way? And could we also extend the Profanity Embroidery Group to more people? Because we'd got people who said, oh, I'd love to participate, but I don't live close enough. So we came up with the idea of using social media through Facebook and Instagram. We haven't used Twitter.
Yeah.
To promote the idea of collecting secrets worldwide, which people stitch and then sent to us. So I created a little blog to explain the project and tell people how to participate. And then some of us stitched some secrets. And then we started to use social media, and we assured people that their secret would be completely anonymous, and that they could send it to us. They didn't need to include their name or any story or anything. And then we've posted them we're quite careful about, we don't comment on people's secret, other than the quality of the work, and we're really thankful that people have been so responsive, that their secrets are their business.
Yes.
And so we've been doing that since about June. We stopped the collection process at the end of December.
Right.
And we've got over 50 secrets, and we've got a few more trickling in from people who can't stick to a deadline. Our own group, of course. And then the next stage will be to think about how we're going to make these into, it won't necessarily be a quilt, but it will be some kind of wall hanging, which will be for national public display. Oh, and I have to say, we've been sent secrets from all over the world.
Right, brilliant. And that's the power of Facebook and Instagram. As I was saying just before we started this chat, that Stitchery Stories, to say it started at the end of July, with 3 friends from Yorkshire. You know, I've had emails from people in Alaska, people in New Zealand, and everywhere in between. And it's so exciting. It's like, oh, somebody's this, and then when the odd review pops up, you know, and it is just really, really exciting to think that people have found you in amidst all the noise on the internet. They found you, and they've been interested enough to kind of stop what they were doing to pay attention, and then have actually come back and said, oh yeah, it's interesting, or can I put a secret in, or sharing work, etc. It's just amazing. I think we are really blessed, I think, with the internet, to be able to connect with people like that. So you must find it exciting as well.
Oh, absolutely. We're very excited by the idea of the postman approaching with a lumpy package at our doorstep. But in all seriousness, people have sent us some very serious secrets.
Yes.
And I really hope that in some way that participating in the project has been therapeutic for people, and that the process of being allowed this opportunity to stitch something that they don't have to finish, that they can just do what they want to do, and as much as they want to do, and they don't have to worry about the finished article, but they can deal with a subject that's possibly very close to their heart, and then just send it away, and then it's somebody else's responsibility. I really hope that that's what has appealed to people.
I would think it must have, because it can be, when you have problems or things in the back of your mind, it's very is it cathartic, the words. It's really nice to be able to, first of all, write it down, isn't it? And they always say that, you know, write it down, even if you then go and throw it in the fire afterwards. Just write that letter to that person that's really, really annoying you, and then just go and burn it, even if you are never going to send it to them. It's out of your head. It's not going round and round in a circle anymore, is it? And that's the thing with some of these issues. It just keeps on going round and round your head. The minute you've actually stopped and written that letter or had that conversation in your head, it kind of goes away. So, and stitching, it takes longer time, doesn't it? So you've had more time, I think, to think about the issue and possibly try and get rid of it, put it to bed, as you say. And then the wonderfulness of just sending it off. It's now somebody else's problem. It's, you know, has that secret gone away now because it's not a secret anymore? Has the pressure gone? Yeah. Have you had any feedback from anybody to say any of those things?
We have. We've had some feedback in terms of little notes that people sometimes put in their secrets. And one woman said that she was undergoing radiotherapy for breast cancer, and she wasn't able to move as vigorously as she would normally do.
Yes.
So she found it really soothing to be able to sit down and actually give herself permission not to get on with the things that she normally did, but to sit and to stitch. And then there was somebody else who stitched a secret about her depression. And she was somebody who we know, and she'd been absolutely vehement that she didn't have any secrets. She really felt that she sort of dealt with all of that. But her partner said to her, yeah, but you don't talk openly about your depression. How about stitching something about that? And she said that she found that it made her confront it. And also because she was actually talking, because we know her, she was talking to the group about her depression. So it was a very brave thing to do.
Yes, absolutely. And you see a lot of things going around about that, about people wanting to first of all, they possibly don't own up to the head that, to themselves what their issues are, and then they certainly don't like to talk about it, which actually then makes it almost worse for them, doesn't it? Because then they're having to deal with things like depression and pretend that everything's okay as well, and the struggle must be just horrendous. So yeah, that's a really nice outcome from that project.
I don't think we can't claim to have solved problems.
No.
And I have a secret which is sitting next to me, which is I need to put on social media, because we've tried to feature every secret, but I'm finding it difficult just because it's a really hard one. And the person has stitched, I think I must be the loneliest person I know.
Oh.
And I'm left feeling, I don't quite know what to do about that when it's beautifully stitched, and of course we'll show it, but I don't know we will have offered any kind of resolution for that person.
No, unless possibly joining in something.
I hope so.
You would hope that would possibly have been part of it, but yes, it's
looking at the work. It's certainly there was a lot of time, perhaps, when she didn't feel so lonely because she was engaged in doing that. I mean, we say she, whoever did it.
Yeah, we have had men as well.
Yeah.
It's not all female at all.
Brilliant. And do you know the men because they've said I'm a man, or how did you know?
Because I've had a little note, and it would say thanks for your project, and it will say John or something.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Brilliant. Oh, well, that's quite surprising as well. Did you expect that?
I hoped that, because in all of our work, I hope that we can include men as well as women, because men have their own problems.
Yeah.
We often have men saying they're going to join the group, but we only have one who is part of the group. But after we've had an exhibition, there's several men certainly around Whitstable who talk about joining.
Yeah.
But for one reason or another, haven't made the commitment or haven't felt that they could come and join this loud, obnoxious gang of women.
That'd be quite intimidating.
Yeah, I should imagine it would be, actually. But brilliant. No, but that's really good as well, though, isn't it? That it is always seen as primarily a female occupation, but it's great that if men want to get involved and express their creativity and making things in that way, then that's welcome them with open arms, as it were. So cool.
There are plenty of men who are starting to stitch. Mr. X Stitch, who does the fantastic Instagram and blog, and lots of people.
There's certainly a lot more, isn't it? And I'm definitely going to be on the hunt for having some guys on here as well. So good. I think that would be a good thing to do. So they're kind of next on my list to find some blokes who want to come on Stitchery Stories. So if you know anybody, then give us a shout.
Okay, we'll keep it in mind.
Absolutely. So you've kind of collected as kind of many as you want now for the secrets. What are you going to do with them next?
The next thing is for us to meet together as a group and to start thinking about how we treat them and how we connect them together. And also for us to work out whether we want to do any more stitching into the finished product ourselves, or whether we're just going to leave it as it stands. So it's like a sort of collective design process. And then we will have to look at how we execute it, and then finally think about where we might exhibit it.
So you've still got plenty of work to go on that one then. So how do you think, have you got any sort of like vague deadlines, timelines, ideas for how and when you think this might be ready to show the world?
Well, we made a commitment to exhibit it this year.
Yeah.
So it will obviously be later on in this year. But I think it probably is something that we probably will want to finish within the year.
Yeah, because I think you do need to set some kind of date, don't you? Otherwise, things just kind of ramble on.
Yes, but we've got to find what will be the best place to show this, because I'm not sure that it's a straightforward proposition.
No, there's quite a lot of interesting issues in there as well, isn't there? Really? Brilliant. What would you say, therefore, have been some of the challenges that you've been faced with when working on not only the Secrets project, but all your projects are kind of group collaboration projects, and also subject matter challenges as well. How have you dealt with those, and any kind of particular highlights of how you've come across some of the different challenges?
On the whole, we kind of rub along really well as a group, and although Wendy and myself initially set it up, there's sort of more of us, almost like a little committee, if you like.
Yes.
We tend to deal with most of the admin and the organising of the exhibitions, but everybody else has a say in what we actually do. But within that, there was one time where quite a few of the group felt like they wanted to do some work that was on very serious feminist subjects. Some of the people in our groups actually have really serious kind of social work jobs, and they regard this as quite a relaxing, fun thing to do, and didn't feel that they wanted their working life and embroidering life to cross over too much. Yes,
I could imagine that being challenging on several levels, I should imagine. Yeah.
And I feel, due to my sort of working past, I felt that sometimes actually you can get a lot more across through humour and colour than you can through preaching to the converted, almost, if you are too explicit in what you're trying to do.
Yes.
And that was an interesting sort of group dynamic debate over that, but in the end it was sorted out.
The humour and the silliness came to the forefront then, obviously.
They did, yes.
And I mean silliness in the nicest possible way.
Yeah, it's the fun aspect is there. It's important for all of us.
Yeah. I think the main word that has just popped into my head is it's all wonderfully eccentric, in a very nice, eccentric kind of way. It's just lovely. I hope you don't mind me using that word. That's the word that popped into my head.
It's a nice word, actually. And we are quite a eccentric and mixed bunch of people, I suppose. I mean, individually, many of the members might think they're perfectly normal members of society. They may like to think that.
And then actually they've gone and joined this group, which says something else. So no, and you're just saying there about expanding your project for people who would love to be there. I'd be there like a shot. I'm just sadly at the other end of the country from you. So.
I mean, we've done, starting with the Older Women Rock project, we did a couple of workshops as part of that, which the response to that was just rather overwhelming, delightful. So since then we've run a few in Whitstable, and we will probably continue to do the odd workshop at various times, depending what the projects are. And that's something that we found highly enjoyable. And one of the things that amazed me with the Christmas one was, given the people that arrived, we thought that they would be having a fine old time with the mulled wine and the swearing. Actually, they were far more interested in getting on with the sewing. Also, actually, whilst I'm just saying about the workshops, it's one of the other things with the Secrets quilt that we've been thinking about is whether we hold a workshop. There's an idea that Bridget had about how we might tie it together, and again, that might be something that we would like to turn into a more public kind of workshop event.
Yeah. There might be a second opportunity for participation.
I should imagine as well, people listening to this will be thinking, "Oh, can I send one in?" So, to put you on the spot, what would the answer to that be?
Well, if they're quick, yes.
If they're quick, yes. Okay, right. So if you want to send a stitch secret in, you're quick, get it in then.
Yes, and you can find the details on the Secrets website.
Right. So the links and everything we'll put in on your episode on the Stitchery Stories website as well. So I just need to collect all of those. In terms of the age range of people who've been attracted to join the group and participate, is it more older ladies who have got to the point of we've got the confidence to say, I don't care what anybody thinks anymore, I'm just doing my own thing? Or have you attract a younger group who think, hey, wow, this is, I'm being disruptive here and I can do my own thing in a safe kind of way? Is there any kind of trend there in terms of age participation?
I would say the majority are probably 50 plus.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a logistical issue, because I think because we meet during the week, I know there are younger women who would love to join us, but they can't get babysitters.
Yes.
Some of those who were part of it, particularly of the Fabric Society time. We had some lovely people then who were younger and had families, and the commitments of their time just made it difficult.
And there's also a difference between the people who attend our workshops and the people who come to PEG regularly. And at the workshops, we tend to attract a younger audience. And in fact, we've even had a couple of children attend with their mothers.
That'd be interesting. I go to the Hull Embroiderers Guild. We're only a small little group, and I'm a single mum. And my lad's 13 and a half, and recently he's had to come along to embroidery. So I make sure he's got some Lego or something to keep him busy with. So he kind of like, we're going to embroidery sorts of things.
Maybe he'd like to stitch a secret. I hate going to embroidery.
That'd be fantastic. It's actually, I have to say, got very inspired. They did some stitching at school, and they made a two-dimensional stuffed toy out of felt, and he did a ninja anyway. So then last year he also decided he wanted to do a Pikachu, that yellow cartoon character. So in all fairness, he's drawn out the pattern, he's cut out the shapes for its cheeks and mouth and all the rest of it, and he's sewed those on. I don't think he's finished sewing his different pieces on yet. But he's so he did take that to embroidery. Our last meeting in the hall was October, so he did actually turn up with his Pikachu project in his box. So I'm sure he wouldn't tell any of his friends.
That's why I think that we mustn't be too prescriptive about our membership, and also align our interests too closely with what are traditionally women's causes, because I really think that men should be included in having playful therapeutic activities in the same way that women do, because I don't think that men have enough opportunity for that.
No, not at all. You just can't really imagine it happening, particularly, can you? So, I think that would be a really nice thing to see, wouldn't it? Now, here we are at 35 minutes already. We could spend all afternoon talking about this, and my list of questions has totally gone out the window, I hope you noticed.
Something that's just occurred to me is when we had the first exhibition, it was quite overwhelming. The response that we had from the footfall we had was incredible.
Right.
And the response was brilliant. And we did have quite a few people saying they didn't understand why we had to go and put these words on our beautiful work. The level of the embroidery that the group is now doing is very high. But once they understood and explained where we were coming from, then it isn't just about a sort of daft shock value thing. There's reasons why we do these things, and the fun aspect, and a bit naughty. There were very few people who didn't respond to it positively.
Right, that's good to hear as well, because that actually was one of the things I was going to ask you about. In some respects, you're dealing with sometimes fairly shocking subjects and fairly shocking words if you don't understand why you're doing it.
But it's also, if you've got a word that lots of people are really uncomfortable with, and then it's translated into this sort of beautiful piece of artwork with lots of flowers and colour and a stunning design.
Yeah.
It turns it into something else. And I think some of these words that are used offensively, particularly against women.
Yes, there's a lot as well, isn't there?
You can take the sting out of it. It can't hurt you so much. Yes.
And say back to my 13-year-old, he comes home from school and he'll ask me, Mum, what's this? What does that mean? What does this word mean? And I do explain to him basic details, exactly what it is, and I use the correct words, and I tell him, it's for that. Oh, right. I said, yes,
we had to ask young people what some of the words we were coming across were, because we didn't know.
Well, I'm sure there's loads I don't know as well. So, I'm sure the tables will be turned. I'll be asking him, won't I, soon? What sort of word does that? And even now he'll say things. I say, I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean. Then he'll go and explain a bit more. So it is good to be able to speak about the words, and to say particularly about words that are used in derogatory terms against women as well. So I think kids don't understand really what it is they are actually saying. It's just a word, isn't it? But they don't understand the meaning of what they really are saying. So, put some flowers around it and get people talking about it. That's a really cool idea, actually. I really like it.
Thing that I think has been important to the success we've had as a group has been the support of the gallery where we exhibit, because it's a community gallery, and we are able to have it just for a week, and the fee is bearable, and they don't take any commission on the work that is sold, because we do sell our individual pieces. We don't sell our collaborative pieces. But I think that with without that support of the gallery, and especially the fee being affordable, we wouldn't be able to exhibit in the way that we have. And that would mean that we wouldn't get the exposure to grow the group. And just to enjoy it, it's hugely enjoyable doing the exhibitions.
Yes.
We always have a party and we make really food and we have fun. And the people who come in usually go out smiling. There are a few people who don't, but so I would just like to say that that's a fantastic resource that we're really lucky to have in Whitstable.
And it means that people can look at the actual work, which is very different from just looking at pictures as well, isn't it?
So, absolutely.
Yeah, really there, you've said the same words a few times now, which I think sums up this whole project. Huge fun, hugely enjoyable, hugely funny, huge fun. And you've said those words so many times that it really is, for me, such an uplifting and amusing project, but I just say with so many things that have spun out of it, which have created a lot of good as well. So well done you two. It's just an absolutely fascinating story, and I am so happy, Bridget, that you sent me that email in December.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's been a great experience talking to you, and I hope people enjoy hearing about our projects.
Well, I hope so, and something a bit different for everybody as well. Kind of in closing there, thank you very much, Bridget and Annie. Thank you. I will include the Facebook page and the website for the secrets and any other links that you sent me. I'll put them all on there. And our next task is a huge portfolio of photos to kind of sift through to find out the best ones that we can represent the whole project with. So it's another challenge for me. So thank you very much. It's been hugely enjoyable speaking to you today, and I wish you well with your next round of Profanity Embroidery Group projects.
Thank you, and the same. We wish you success with your podcasting.
Thank you so much. Just share it to death, won't you?
We will.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
If you liked this episode and want to hear more, then please join the Stitchery Stories fan club so you can get an email when a new episode is released. It's a quick and easy way of listening and of keeping up with any news and offers from our lovely guests. Please visit stitcherystories.com to join the fan club. Of course, if you have iTunes, then subscribe there to automatically get new episodes, and why not leave us a review and rating whilst you are there. So that is the end of our Stitchery story for today. So keep stitching, keep smiling, and keep creating your very own Stitchery stories.